Hey guys, Shady here. So today, this is going to be my first kind of discussion video. I haven't done one of these yet. It's going to be a little bit ranty, maybe a bit kind of rambly as always. But, I'm going to say something bold right now. I really think it's time for Phill Spencer to step down as the head of Xbox. Because, let's go over everything right now and how the Series S has just been a complete disaster. To me, it just feels like they've conceded and lost another console generation already. It's not even been 3 years of the console generation yet, and it just feels like it's over for Xbox right now. You just think, the recent interview with Phill Spencer, he's said some kind of ridiculous things to me, like first of all saying that apparently good games don't matter for a console, or to quote him correctly, he says releasing good games isn't going to out console Sony and Nintendo. There's not going to be a reason for someone to sell their PlayStation over an Xbox or for an Xbox. And I just don't agree with that as a statement, first of all, because people don't just sell a system to buy a new one. You can have multiple systems. Let's just look at the Nintendo Switch. Like, that's been a success because it is the dedicated second system for people, Like, think about the amount of people who had a PS4 and a Switch last gen, or still now. And to say that great games don't matter as well, what the hell are you talking about? That's why people buy systems. Games are the only thing that matter. I understand, Game Pass as a service is good, It's not necessarily for me, like, long term. I think it's good occasionally. Like, if there's a decent game there, I will pick it up. Like a Plague Tale Rec Room, something like that. Like, these good indie type one and done games, like, that's perfect on Game Pass. But, to have that be your main focus, and to not care about the quality of your first party titles is ridiculous to me. Like, I just think about, just look at, right now we've got Tears of the Kingdom just around the corner, the new Zelda game. Look at the amount of Switches people are buying, or that are selling just for people to play that game. We've got Final Fantasy 16 just around the corner as well for PlayStation in a month. Like, people are buying PS5s just for that game. Like, it does matter. Don't tell me it doesn't matter, because you're talking nonsense, okay? I want to go over what I think are the reasons why I think it's time for Phill Spencer to go, really. Let's just look at the launch of the Series S, or the Series X, for example. First of all, releasing 2 SKUs of a system for some reason. One that's basically a last-gen system. I know it's a bit more capable than that, but, like, you're expecting developers to make 2 versions of a game on a system that sells the least. Like, what sense does that make? There's a reason why no other console developer has done that multiple system thing, because it just doesn't work. I know we had the Pro systems, but that was different because those were just specifically to support 4K TVs. Like, that was because that was an emerging market at the time, and they didn't support that initially. And then you look at launching a system with no games as well, or any decent for exclusives or first parties. Look at the Switch that launched with Breath of the Wild. The PS5 launched with Demon Souls, and then the Xbox had nothing, like, just relying on third parties. What the hell is that about? And then, you look at last year, they didn't release a single first party title or notable exclusive for their system, thinking that that's fine. It seems like they're just content with putting things on Game Pass day one. Like, that's enough. Like, that. Clearly not, because there's no growth in Game Pass, Well, I think it is showing growth in, like, the PC space, and they're really interesting in the whole cloud stuff. Like, one of the things Phill Spencer said was, which I think is actually a good approach, the idea that cloud allows them to connect to people in, these markets that are therefore untapped, like these countries where things like India and even places like Africa, things like that, where Brazil, places like that, where they usually don't have these consoles, or they can't afford to buy these systems, but they have a smartphone, so that's a good idea. But my point is, why release 2 systems then, if you think they don't matter? Like, the console comes first and foremost. That is what Xbox is. They need to stop seeing just Game Pass and that as the primary focus to me. Like, you need to remember that you need games on a console, It's not, we're not buying a service, we're buying a console, okay? And, again, I'm going kind of rambly and crazy. Not really, I'm just sort of riffing here, really, aren't I? But, I just think you need to just look at, he's saying we can't out console Nintendo or Sony, but like I understand, like I get what you're saying. All three need to exist and kind of have their own ecosystems, but you do need to compete with them. That is ultimately what the game is. You're trying to fight for a dollar. That's or a pound, I guess, because that's the currency where I am. You know, that's the whole point. Um, you know, I look back at Microsoft during the 360 era, like their peak when they were great. In their marketing, Jay Allard, who was head of marketing, he said himself, "We are going for Sony. We're releasing a year before them. We're like massively undercutting our system. I think they're making 50% off the system, or they were selling it at a 50% loss just to get market share. They had tons of great games. They made sure they were the place that was the best place to play the games. You know, it was all there. They even tried to take the Japanese market. But now you hear this kind of loser mentality from Phill Spencer. I don't like it at all. You know, he's been there for 10 years now. And even though I think Game Pass is good and it's kind of, you know, for people who, you know, probably can't really afford to spend a lot on a game or whatever, you know, you got, you know, a budget option there. You got the Series S and Game Pass, or you can play via the cloud on any device. Like those are good things, but it shouldn't be your primary focus. And I think that's the issue I have. It feels like Phill Spencer's like it feels like he's been kind of like grooming Xbox fans into thinking things like exclusives don't matter, and you know, the cloud and all this stuff is good. Like, you know, being able to play anywhere is great and all that. And he's kind of made them lose sight of what really matters, which is games. You know, like Sony and Nintendo have got to where they are because they have great IPs and they're willing to put a lot of money into making games and making gaming a better place. Like, I just look at Xbox, it's been like 4 generations now. And what great IPs do they really have? You know, I mean, they've got Halo, but they've bloody run that to the ground now, it feels like. It's been 3 bad Halo games in a row now. I mean, Halo 4 wasn't that bad, but you know, it's not like the fans don't really like those games as much. It feels like they've lost focus and sight of what that is. Gears of War's great, but you know, you can't make too many of them. Forza is awesome, like an absolute freaking tech masterpiece, but you know, you can't make too many of those games. You know, they kind of oversaturated that with the Xbox One, in my opinion. And then, like, outside of that, there's nothing really that big. I mean, they've got Bethesda, which is great. I think, like, that's a good company to have. But, you know, I just feel like Fallout 76 and now Redfall, people are kind of losing faith in them. Like Starfield is going to be such a massive game for Xbox. It feels like they've got too much riding on a single game for me. You know, they do have a showcase coming up, so let's wait and see. But, you know, I've been disappointed for so many years now. It just feels like with Phill Spencer, the messaging's always been, oh, next year will be the year, good games are coming, and then nothing comes. And it's like, you know, you can disagree with me if you think you need to get rid of him, but I just feel like at least change his position or something, you know. They need someone else as the head, because I feel like gamers and people in, you know, who are interested in Xbox are just losing faith now. And, you know, that's why their sales are down so low, because it's just, we're sick of hearing these lies now, you know. We don't, you know, these consoles aren't cheap. So, you know, you know, it is a luxury, obviously, but we expect something to play, you know. And you can't just, I don't know, I just don't think you can say the sort of things he has and continue on that way and expect to still be there, you know. I feel like the interview in a way was almost him trying to, like, really hold on to his job or something, I don't know. It just feels like a lot of the stuff he's saying isn't what people want to hear, you know. I don't want to hear you say that you can't out-console Sony and Nintendo. Like, that's just not what I want to hear. I want to hear you say, you know, we're coming for you. Well, not necessarily like that, but, you know, I want you to just release games and make great games. You have the most friggin' studios of anyone. You have the most money. How are you incapable of pouring money into first-party stuff? You can try to spend $70 billion to acquire Activision, but you can't spend a fraction of that to make first-party titles and get them out on a regular basis. Sony and Nintendo are both capable of doing this. Why are you incapable of doing this? You know, it's not difficult. You just have to be willing to. It's like, I look at the amount of games that have come out on the Xbox that haven't had sequels. You know, you look at Rise, like that could have been a great friggin' God of War kind of equivalency on Xbox, but because the first game didn't underperformed, they just didn't bother with it. You look at Recall, maybe not the best game, But that could have been a cool Metroid-ish-esque type game for them, in a way. You know, it could have been a series. You look at like Alan Wake, they could have made the sequel to that, and that could have been a great horror franchise for them. You know, there's tons of these games. Lost Odyssey as well, Blue Dragon, loads of great games that could have been franchises. But it just feels like I don't know what they expect. It just underperforms. They just don't do it. You know, a lot of games, the first game in the series is the one that performs the worst, and then you build a franchise on that. But they're not willing to do that. Why is that? What is the point of being in this space if you're not going to make games? You know, like I just don't like where I think they're going. It just feels like to me, under Phill Spencer, they're just gonna go into this whole service thing. I think personally, in my opinion, it just feels to me like the Xbox Series X is going to be probably their last console or traditional type console. I feel like they're just going to go into the whole cloud and PC market and maybe have some sort of streaming box at most. You know, and that's not what I want to see, because I feel like we need all three of these companies to be competing, you know, trying to do their best. Because you look at what happened with Sony during the PS2 days, they just dominate that generation. And then they released the PS3, which was, you know, at first was just terrible. Don't know what the hell they were thinking there. And then, thanks to Microsoft with the 360 really pushing them, it made them like think, you know, shit, we got a problem here. We need to beat Microsoft. So they put in a lot of money into first party titles. And then the PS3 turned around and they just continued on with the PS4 and now with the PS5. And, you know, it just feels like, you know, Nintendo, sorry, they kind of have their own separate market in a way. They do their own thing. But kind of even with them, you look at how good they did with the Wii and how dominant they were. And then they just kind of fumbled with the Wii U, even though I do like that system. I think it's good. But then because of that, they got it right with the Switch, you know? And I don't know, it just feels like, I don't know, with Microsoft faltering so much, are Sony going to start slipping? Probably not. But, you know, they're going to have too much of a dominance in the console space. You know, we need you guys, all three of you, pulling your weight. And it just seems like I don't know why they're not interested. You know, you got enough money. You've got some of the best studios. Just get onto it, you know. I don't know who I'm talking to, because no one involved in Microsoft's ever going to watch this video or what, you know, or care what I say. But yeah, I'm just venting, I guess, you know. But yeah, if anyone else sees this video, I'd be interested to hear what you think, you know. And I do apologize about the rambliness of this video. But, you know, seriously, you know, they need to get their stuff together. And we need all three of these consoles, you know, releasing great stuff. We need Microsoft to just turn things around. I really hope this showcase, I think it's next month, or something like that, because obviously E3's cancelled, so we have these showcases in replacement. So I really hope they hit it out of the park. You know, I have some suggestions anyway, I think would be good for Microsoft. I think, you know, to move things forward, like I said, I think Phill Spencer needs to step down and move. Maybe he could be head of like cloud / kind of PC space. You get someone else as the head of Xbox, just the system itself. You know, I think this whole day and date Game Pass stuff isn't working. You know, you can't release quality games and when you're doing that, because you're not going to see a return. Because obviously with this streaming service, if there's no growth, then like the whole point of putting something on there was kind of a waste, or it's seen as a failure. That's why, if you've noticed, like the first party development has really shrunk since this whole day and date Game Pass stuff, because of that, because there's not enough growth in it. So I think stop doing day and date stuff. Like I think low to mid budget games, like some indie stuff or some third party stuff, is great for that. And maybe you can develop some smaller games just for Game Pass, occasionally for big game. But like I think your big franchises like your Halos, your Gears and all that shouldn't be day one date. Have them separate. They will sell, don't worry. Obviously you got Bethesda, you know, let's get Doom 3 on the go. Let's do a sequel to Hi-Fi Rush. You know, people freaking love that game. Do a sequel. Maybe do a physical run of that game. People would buy the hell out of that. I would buy a physical version of that game. Trust me. You know. Yeah, and then let's, you know, maybe do more third-party deals like you used to. I know they're complaining about Sony doing these third-party deals, but they started it during the 360 era. And then Sony just beat them at their own game. So go back to doing that, you know. Even though you don't have a presence in Japan, still go for Japanese games, you know. people around the world play them, not just in Japan. You know, it builds your library, and it means people are going to come to your platform. You know, also, yeah, maybe look at doing. Maybe it wouldn't be a smart idea, but do a digital version of the Series X. Maybe you can have a lower. You know, you can have 3 tiers of kind of a system there. Yeah, possible idea. Seems to have worked for Sony. Haven't, like, the digital PS5, I think is done. I think it's close to a 50-50 split. I think it's the same with the Series X and the Series S as well, you know. So it's not a bad idea. You know, just focus on the games. Stop releasing things in an unhealthy state. Stop announcing release dates arbitrarily, you know, because obviously we know what happened with Redfall, you know. It's because they needed to get a game out there quickly, so they just chucked it out there because they had nothing. Don't do that with Starfield. If you have to release it next year, freaking release it next year. Just get something else in its place. If you need to, get some third-party games or something to hold you off till then. Also, let's start getting release dates. You know, I know this is kind of contradicting what I said, but let's just see updates on some of these games you announced. Hellblade 2, yeah, friggin' Fable 4 or whatever it would be, or maybe it's a reboot, I'm not sure. Yeah, get some Bethesda stuff on the go. Get Arcane to actually make games that they're good at. Maybe Dishonored 3 would be a good idea, or Prey 2 or something. The kind of games that they make, those kind of, what do you call them, like, I can't remember what you call them, but whatever the type of game is, but they have a particular game that they make, which is awesome. Yeah, yeah, take your time with Halo. Don't rush the next Halo game. I'm hearing that they're going to be doing with Unreal Engine 5, which is awesome. But yeah, take your time with Halo. Make sure it's good, the next Halo game. I think also, you know, even though Halo Infinite maybe didn't do very well, some DLC for that could be good. That's some content released, yeah. But yeah, obviously no one from Microsoft's listening to this, but if anyone does, then listen to me, please. I know what I'm talking about, possibly. Yeah, hope you guys have a great day. Anyway, if you got any enjoyment out of this video, or, you know, even if you think I'm an idiot, you know, just at least like and subscribe if you want to. And yeah, have a great rest of the day.